array nums that doesn't contain any zeros, find the largest positive integer k such that minus k also exists in the array. Return the positive integer k. If there is no such integer, return minus 1. Okay. So we have given a nums array and we need to find the largest positive integer in this array which has also a pair of minus k in this contain this in array, right? So if we see this first example here, minus 1 is present, minus 3 is present, and 3 is also present. So the maximum, the largest positive integer, which is 3, which has a pair of its negative value minus 3 is present. So the answer is 3 here. In the second example, here in this case 7 is present and minus 7 is also present. 1 is present, minus 1 is also present. So the largest number is 7 here. So answer is 7, right? So basically, we need to find a largest positive integer whose negative value is also present in the array, right? So it's a very basic problem. So what will you do? So if you want to do a brute force, then you can choose for brute force approach. That's a simple approach that you can simply you can simply choose a number. You can simply choose a number and iterate iterate in the you can simply choose a ith index value, ith index value, index number, and iterate in and see in I plus 1 value and see in I plus 1th and iterate in I after iterate after I plus 1th index numbers to see that whether it's opposite sign, opposite negative or positive, its opposite sign number is present in the array or not, right? And if it is present, then it can be possible that it may be an answer, it may be an answer. So whenever we will get a pair, we will we will try to we will take the maximum value from all the possible answers, right? We will take the max positive integers from all the possible pairs, right? So that will be the brute force approach, right? So basically it uses two loops and check one by ones to for checking, right? So here the time complexity will be O of n square, right? Simply. So here it is given 1000, which is 10 to the power 6. So it will be a valid answer, it will be a valid solution. But if the numbers are totally greater than this 1000, length is greater than 1000, then it will be an invalid option. So can we further optimize it, right? So let's think of optimization. So the thing is here that the same number is present again and again. So can we use a hash map or something like we will store the numbers in and check that whether its opposite values is contained in my hash map or not, right? So what does it mean? That suppose I have taken the second example here, and this is minus 1 10 and minus 6 7 minus 1 and 1, right? So what I will do, I will use a hash map or a hash set. So you can use a hash map or hash set, right? So in C++, there is an stl value. There is stl set, unordered set, right? Unordered set and unordered map. You can use any of them. In Python, there is a dictionary, right? There is a dictionary for unordered map, and there is a set value for unordered set, right? But that will take O of login because in my Python there's no something like unordered set, right? I think as per I remember, in Python there's a dictionary value. So you can use both of these. So basically, it's a hash map or hash set. So basically, what does it do? We will store this nums value accordingly whenever it counted a number. So suppose here is -1. So -1 is, we will see that whether this minus its opposite value, which is minus of this value, which is equals to, so let's suppose I is equals to at 0. So we will check that whether this negative of value, which is at -1, so whether this minus of -1, which is equals to 1, is present in my hash set or hash map or not, right? So if it is a present, it means that we got a pair which has its negative and the positive value in my array, right? It means that we got a pair, we got a pair, right? So, and we will store the max value, and if it is greater than the, if it is greater, if it is, its positive value is greater than the existing answer, then we will update the answer, right? Then we will update the answer, right? And after that we will store it in my answer. So if we will store this, it is a map, so we will just store this -1 in my answer here, right? So let's suppose this is a hash map, this is a hash map, and this has stored -1 in my answer, right? Now again we will go to the 10, and we will see, check that whether this -10 value is present in my answer or not. So we will check that whether this, so I is equals to at 1, we will check that whether this -10 is present in my hash map or not. So -10 is not present in my hash map, so this will not be considered in my answer. So but we will insert after checking this value that whether this present or not, we will insert this 10 in my answer, right? So why we are inserting after checking? Because it can be it can be available, because it will be a, it can be possible that whether previously it was occurring and now we are checking for this current value, and then after that we are just inserting in it, right? So this is 10. Now we will check for 6. So I is equals to 2 pay, we will check the we will check for 6, which is not equals to, which is -6 is not present here, right? So we will just insert 6 here, right? We will check for 7. 7 is also, -7 is also not present here, so we just insert 7. Now 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now at I is equals to 4, we will check for -7, which is equals to minus of -7, which is equals to 7. So this 7 is present in my hash map, which is, so it may be an answer, may be an answer, and we will update the max positive integer from my existing answer, from my existing answer, right? So the answer, the previous answer was 1. Now it, 7 is greater than 1, so we will update this 7, right? Now this -7 will also get inserted here. Now we will go to 1, right? So okay, so the firstly, at zeroth value, this 1 is not present here, right? So we will not insert in my 7 because it was not present here. I was just telling you randomly to see this, but at is equals to 0, this -1, the 1 is was not present in my hash map. So initially it will not get inserted, right? Initially it was not get inserted here. So but after this, when this 1 comes at last, so we will check for -1, that whether this -1 is present or not. So -1 is already present here, so here is a value which is, uh, here is a one value which is less than 7, so the answer is still 7, right? I think I've not got, got you confused, right? So let's see how we will implement that, right? So it will be, we are using just a hash map to, or hash set for this, so that will, that have unique values can be from 1000 to 1000. So and the total number of length is 1000, so it will be automatically, the space complexity will be only the maximum of n, which is the length of this, because it can be a unique values all the time. So that value can be O of n, right? And the space and time complexity will be again O of n, because we need to iterate in all the directions, right? So let's see how will we implement this. So we will first define the length of this array, and then take an ordered map. You can use a unordered set also, but it totally depends on you. So what we will do, we will insert this nums I in my answer, but before inserting, we will check. Okay, we need to also make a answer to store the maximum value. For storing maximum value, maximum positive value, largest positive integer, so that will, and we have given that num size can't be 0, so we will store the 0th as my initial, because I need to find the maximum, so we will need to store the lowest value possible, right? Now I will check that whether this map contain minus of num size. Why minus of num size? Because we need to find a pair, so we need to find always a minus num size, because I am inserting num size. So you can also reverse this. You can store minus num size and check num size, and or you can store num size or check minus num size, right? So both of the summation should be always 0. That's the whole purpose here. And I will check. So okay, so here it is. If my nums count is nums get storing in my hash map already, so I will find the maximum of this absolute value of num size, simply, right? Because I need to store the positive value, right? So we will store the absolute value of num size. Understood? Because it can be possible that it is a because we don't know what this num size is, negative or positive. So simply storing minus num size is not effective. So we will simply store the positive value of absolute num size here. And just last I will return. Okay, sorry, I have not started for loop. Sorry. I'm not in. This should be inside the for loop, because we need to iterate in whole of the. Uh, yeah, this should work fine. So at last, I will return the answer value. So this is the whole, because as starting point, we will check that whether this map contains this num size minus of num size, and if it is, then we will store the maximum value. Otherwise, we will just insert in my hash map, and we will return as answer. Let's run it. Uh, okay. Okay, the one thing is here. Uh, let's store it minus one, because here it is given that if there is no such integer which has a pair value, then we will return to minus one. So if we don't have any pairs, then this answer will not get changed, and this answer will return minus one. So I have just initialized with minus one here instead of 0, right? Now let's, we pass the sample case, submit it. Yeah, we passed all the cases. So here the time complexity and space complexity we have already discussed, that will be O of n, and this O of n is at most 1000, which is here given. So instead of using, so the third was that instead of using this unordered map, you can also use an array size of what array size of more than array size of greater than the 2000 numbers, 2000 numbers. Why the why 2000 greater than one, why greater than 2000 numbers, greater than 2000 numbers? Because here we have given a minus 1000 and a 1000 value. So in this, suppose the first one is coming 7, so I will store this 7 plus this 1000 and one value, because the number is from minus 1000 to 1000, so it's possible that it can collide if I don't take a greater than this 1001 number. So let's take a safe side for 1005 number, right? So suppose I have made, suppose let's I have taken a vector of an array size of 2010. So what I will do, I will store negative or positive number with adding by 1005. So that this will give me what, this will give me something like the, how much is came, this is 5 and this is 99 and this is should be this should be 99 and 8, right? This should be 998, right? uh, if I do, I have get it wrong, let's forget it, right? So uh, this should be 998, right? So and suppose whenever 7 comes, then what I will check, I will check that whether this 7 minus 7 plus 1005 value is present or not. So what I will do, I will mark this 998 position in my array as a positive value, as positive, as 1. Mark it as 1. This position as, mark this position as 1, right, in my array. And upon checking this, if it is 1, it means that we have got a pair, and we will just store the maximum value which we are storing like this here, right? So instead of using that unordered map, we can use the number vector size of greater than 2010. And why 2010? Because it needs to be checked to for negative numbers and the positive integers, because we can't store negative numbers in my array, numbers in my array. So that's why I will just store greater than 2000 number and add this, like. So this will also contain, this will also, the space complexity will be also the same, or greater than this previous one, which is 2010 if you take, and the space complexity will be again O of n, right? So that's the same time of and the space complexity, but the approach is different only, right? So instead of using this, what we can do is we can take an array of store, let's take, and this should be 1010 2010, and instead of checking minus nums I plus 10, we can check this of 1005, or check this as a 1004, because this 2010 should not be existed. So or take this 104 and take it as a 5, right? Because uh, this should be 2011, because 1005 plus can be increased to 2010, right? So take 1005 and just store 1005 here, and now this is something which can be equals to this. So this will be the store, because I need to store that, and this is something, right? And this should mark as positive, this store as a positive, because this contains, this initialized to 0. So what we'll do, we have just used a stored array instead of unordered map, and check whether this is equals to 1 or 0. Okay, this should be my num cycle. So this both is, if the position is at 1, then we will simply insert it and get the pair. Let's run this. We have passed the test case, let's submit it. Yeah, we passed the test cases. So what does it do? It just stored, is just marked the position and check whether that the position is already marked or not, right? Simply it was doing like this, right? So yeah, thank you so much.